Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to Backstage, our online MBA event. We're going to talk about career management and career development in online MBA programs, and in particular, three great European programs from three terrific European business schools: ESMT Berlin, Vlerick Business School in Belgium, and IE Business School in Madrid, Spain. But of course, because they're online, they're really not in any of these countries, so to speak, because you can take this online MBA course anywhere in the world. Let me introduce our panelists for today's discussion. From ESMT Berlin, we have Sophie Schaefer, who's the Deputy Director of Career Services. From Vlerick Business School, we have Anna Riep, the Senior MBA Career Advisor. And from IE Business School, we have Juan Pablo Rodriguez, the Head of Career Services for part-time MBA programs. Welcome, everybody. So one of the things I want to explore with you is the fact that obviously online MBA students are already fully employed. They have jobs. And one of the reasons why they're taking an online degree is so that they can maintain their jobs and keep their income, as opposed to quitting and going to a school full time. So I wonder how that shapes the careers curriculum in your online MBA program when people are already fully employed. Sophie, let's start with you.
Thank you for having me here. And I see that our logo looks very creative, right?
It's very good.
It's sort of flipped. It's not meant to be that way. Or does that only look for me like that?
No, it looks good to me.
All right. Yes, that's true. So at ESMT, the Global Online MBA is really designed at maximum flexibility and for maximum flexibility on all levels. So that students really can study where they want, when they want, at the pace they want, and also continue with their job, their family commitments, and all other commitments in their lives. And yes, when I say on all levels, that of course includes career services offers as well. So they are mostly available on demand. There is an exception to that. But yes, we do have a lot of resources online. We have a tech hub where students are in very different stages of their career, have different career aspirations. And so if you are looking to explore opportunities, then you have access to video material on, let's say, LinkedIn networking. How do you set up your LinkedIn profile in a professional way? How do you network online with other people to explore opportunities? We also have a job platform that is combined with an event platform where we publish all our events that Global Online MBA students are invited to. Then we offer one-on-one coaching that is also on demand, and then you can start that whenever you are ready in the program. And also it's of course not mandatory, but for some it's really helpful to advance in their careers. We have a pool of currently 7 coaches that are available also on the hubs. They have very big different backgrounds, depending on what you want, really, what you want to get out of it. And lastly, yeah, there's one exception to the on-demand and flexibility. At ESMT, we strongly believe in networking. So we have lots and lots of opportunities to network with alumni, to network with business experts, and that happens both online and on campus. So on Friday, for instance, we have a big event coming up where we also invite our Global Online MBA students.
Great. Well, that sounds like quite a bit. Anna, what does your careers curriculum look like?
Let me unmute myself so you can hear me. That's better, right? So I'm
Much
heading
better.
the offer for all our MBAs, right? So I have a bit of the overview. And on the online MBA side, there's a lot of choice, because I think an online MBA is about flexibility, but there are also limits to it. So we really believe in this self-reflection and leadership and personal development as a fundament, where I, as a careers advisor, then can pick it up. And so we start our online MBA for everyone, whenever you start, with a course on leadership, where we do a 360-degree coaching approach that we pick up throughout the program. And that really helps in this self-reflection and picks up a lot of those underlying career questions. And then all of our online MBAs have the possibility to do executive coaching 3 hours throughout the program on demand. And they can decide if this is more on a leadership or on a career side, because as you said, right, our online MBAs across the globe, I would say, they mostly do have a job. And so it's up to them to pick that up when they are ready to do that. We also offer content workshops where they are strongly invited to join. Sophie just mentioned LinkedIn. I think we also all cover that. We do salary negotiations. I think that's really interesting. If you stay in your job and just want to go up, or when you want to change and negotiate a new job. So we cover quite some of the content side. And obviously the networking side, where, I mean, this is also why you do an MBA, right? To get in touch with others. We have built that into the program, so we make sure whenever you start a new course, you get mixed up with new people already in the online MBA environment. We have networking face-to-face and hybrid across the MBA community. So then putting together part-time MBAs, full-times and onlines, invited. And if you're ready to come here, you're very welcome to join company visits, for example, alumni events. I think there's a lot. But in the end, they're on the driver's seat, right? So we just give them a lot of teasers, and we have built in a few things that make them, that make them have less choices to at least think about those possibilities. And then it's up to them to pick it up.
Right. And Pablo, how about at IE?
Hi, John. Thanks for having us. Well, basically, IE, it's a very flexible program. Of course, it differs a lot from the full-time program. The full-time program is shorter, whereas they basically quit their job and leave everything till the end and look for jobs only until then. Well, we have to be ready for our part-times. From day one, many of them know what they want to do. Others have no clue. So it's our mission to basically know our students. So this is basically what we're focusing on, understanding who they are, where they come from, and what move they do. The best way we do this is by meeting one-on-one with each one, using surveys, asking them about their experience, their preferences, and any kind of information that would be relevant for their job search. And this would include also whether if they're looking for jobs immediately or if they're going to postpone it till the very end. This in turn will help us to allocate the resources in a timely manner so everybody can get the full attention that they deserve. Looking at the perspective from each student, we want to get the inner you, have them understand what they are about, what they represent. Nowadays, it's not a question of actually looking for a company, but the company, learning how to match their inner values with the values of the culture of the company and what that company represents. And here at IE, we're very big on that. We really want that our students, besides having the hard skills, they also develop the soft skills and everything that's necessary for them to be able to create impact with their careers. So the first step that we do is how to understand yourself, and then we go end to end from the usual things, right? We ask them what they want to do, then we tell them, okay, how to brand yourself, then how you prepare for the interviews, how do you go for the go-to-market, and we all end all the way up to contacting employers and bringing them on campus, okay? Noticeably, I mean, part-time programs, because they're remote, these activities must be done remotely. But we also have residential periods for these students. So the students that do the global online program here at IE, they're not purely remote. They have 3 instances throughout the entire program to be able to come to Madrid at the beginning, in the middle, and towards the end. And this way they can actually make the most out of the experience, rather than just connecting online and getting this Zoom fatigue that some people have actually mentioned during the pandemic, they can actually fully immerse themselves within what IE is, beyond careers, beyond academics, and more into everything that makes up the IE ecosystem.
And you have one-on-one coaching as well, right?
Yes. We have coaching end to end. We have one-on-one coaching at the very beginning with general advisors. Basically, the general advisors are the people that explore everybody's ambitions, and they have the mission to basically open their minds and see what's out there. It's a person that's very general in the approach, besides giving them the basics of the tools that they will need later on to be able to approach the market in a successful manner. They will actually help them focus on the 2, 3, perhaps viable alternatives that they should look at. We don't really want our students to actually start targeting everything, because we know that the less focused that they are, the less results they will attain. So what we want is first open up the options, but then bring them down to the ground. This would be the general advising aspect. Later on, we pass them on to our team of sector specialists, and these sector specialists are specialized in different sectors. Good thing about lots of the people that work in the careers department here at IE, I mean, of course, many of them work in HR, they have experience, have headhunters, but many of them are professionals in their own backgrounds. I myself, for instance, I was a management consultant for 10 years before being a general advisor here. So I have actually been out there and been able to link, let's say, the academic part or the theory of job hunt with the actual approach and how to speak and get sorts to jobs. In this case specifically, my knowledge would be consulting and tech, but just like myself, there are several more. And beyond the general and sector advising, we also have geo advisors, our regional advisors, which are people that are based around the world that have 2 missions. One is basically to contact employers at a local level, so that we can basically close the gap between people that are localized in those regions, either if they're remote, whether if they're alumni or if they're current students, so that they can speak directly with the recruiters and understand the market there. And the second thing that the geo advisors does, they basically are in charge of networking. Okay, one of the important things that we deeply believe in, and it's been mentioned before, is community networking. Okay, not only networking and students with employers, but amongst alumni themselves. So the geo advisors, aside from closing the gap between students or alumni with employers, they also help and foster this sense of community regionally. So we can say that we have these 3 types of advisors, each one allocated a different stage: general, sector, or geo advisors. But of course, since we're talking about part-time programs, this perhaps must be rushed through at the very beginning. You know, if there's somebody that needs a job tomorrow, well, ideally we would spend lots of time, but it's our mission to coordinate between all the 3 advisors so that we can give them the best outcome as possible.
Right. So it sounds like a very personalized and customized approach. Anna, because some students may want to stay in their current company and advance within that company, and other students may want to use the degree to pivot to maybe even a new industry, a new function, or simply another company in that industry. How do you scale your career management and development team to account for these different goals that different students may have?
Yeah, I think it's the key question for MBAs, right? This is why you do an MBA. There are so many reasons, and things can change. You started with a very clear idea of something you want, and it might change. That's why I like working with MBAs, right? And they're the key, and I agree with Juan Pablo, is personalized approach. You step in at several moments. We make sure we're visible. We make sure we have touch points, but in the end, it's up to our MBAs to choose and steer their career. We can only co-steer. But the moment somebody raises a hand and says, like, I want to explore to be part of a board member, right? A board, we're going to make sure we provide resources and we point towards what they need. And the moment somebody comes and says, like, I'm considering, how do I start exploring these new opportunities? I'm now considering because I'm working with people out of that sector, or I just came across a really interesting case. It's there's so much rich things happening. Our faculty brings in recent projects they have with companies. They meet people from all around the globe, sitting in China, sitting in Dubai, sitting in the US, saying like, when I look outside from my window, when I work on this project, this is how it is, and it inspires them. But
Right.
they need to come. We make sure we have a few touch points, but I really think an MBA is there to own your career. You will come, and then we're here.
And Sophie, I'm assuming you also have a very customized approach, given the different needs and goals of your students. But I also wonder, you know, when a student is already fully employed, they have a busy life professionally and personally, and now they're taking on a learning opportunity that's quite demanding and rigorous. I wonder if you actually have to nudge them, if you have to chase them down to make them think about the longer term aspects of their career, or if they do, like Anna said, they raise their hand and say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. Maybe it's a combination of both, huh?
I must say, I couldn't agree more with what Anna said, also in her first comment, saying that they believe that their students are really in the driver's seat. And that is also our approach, especially with online MBAs. You know, master and management students are at a different stage in their life. But I really believe, and that this is also the way we recruit. We recruit for drive, for curiosity, for driving your own change, and this is reflected, I think, in our career services approach towards global online MBA students, but also in the curriculum itself and how the program is designed. You have all the platforms, all the opportunities you need to explore, you know, to explore industries, to explore fields that can be in the classroom, but also at events that we offer. It happens in courses. It happens by sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience with your classmates, and they ideally give back. You know, the more you share, the more you get back. The more inspiration you get from outside, the wiser you get about yourself. You know, you simply get to know yourself. This is how you learn about your own values and strengths and interests. And yes, raise your hand and we're there, absolutely. But I really think it's a matter of exploring, not being pushed, but really having all the platforms at hand.
Right. Sophie, do you use any kind of tools or assessments to help students identify what they would be best at, or to link their personal values with their career?
Yeah. So in terms of online tools or tools like MBTI or StrengthsFinder, we have tried that in the past. We still do that for our Masters in Management students, but we have found that it doesn't work for our MBA students, at least. So we have kind of moved away from that. But you know, we are always open to explore new things on the market. But again, here I would say, learn about yourself by sharing and learning from others. And I do, when, you know, whoever decides that coaching, one-on-one coaching is the right thing, then this, of course, is a key element as well of any coaching process. Some of our coaches, of course, they also work with MBTI or StrengthsFinder. For some of those tools, you also need to have a certificate. But also we help students to reflect on their values in the classroom. So we highly and strongly encourage students to actively give each other feedback. You know, we don't work with 360 feedback at the moment, but you know, you get the idea.
Sure.
Discover your blind spots. Discover also your hidden talents and strengths, because we often don't know about these.
True.
I agree. And I think that's a really important part. Let me step in because I think for a lot of people, they think online MBA means you're alone somewhere in a room. You do your stuff, you do your online individual assessment. But for us, and I think for you too, like for us, it's 50% of the assessment is group work. And for every group work, we impose that you need to give feedback to everyone you worked with. And I think by this continuous interaction, you learn a lot about yourself, about the others, you develop your soft skills, how to give feedback, when to give feedback, what to cherish, how to work with others. And this journey in the end, I think makes you realize what you need. And we're here to then from a careers angle, if that's needed, to step in.
Anna, are you using any tools or assessments as well to help this introspection that's required of people early
So
on?
on really tools basis, we do a 360-degree twice. So it's a questionnaire on values, and then we have group coachings attached to it and some touch points where we develop an action plan per participant. So they have something very tangible, right, to take them through the journey and not forget in the end. We do a career self-management workshop that's by strong invitation, let's call it like this, where we use a questionnaire to look at their values. And we also look at career moves and priorities here to be a bit more holistic and look at how you want to plan it. If it's not for today, maybe it's in 3 years, maybe it's in 10 years. I think it's interesting tools to offer to everyone.
Right. Juan Pablo, are you using any tools in your online MBA program for career management?
Yes. We have a tool for basically everything. I think one of the things that we have here at the Talent and Careers Department, the value for students, are tools, resources, anything that they would need, we would be able to offer them. The problem is when and why, and that's why we need the personalized approach, somebody working with the student and being able to tell them, okay, it's the moment for the assessment test, these kind of things. The dangers of the assessment test, basically, if a student takes the assessment test on his own, they may receive results that are not coherent to what they would expect. So that's why we always try to have somebody work with the student to interpret those results and be able to help them out to clear the path and find what best suits them. Yes.
What skill sets do you think your program embeds in its students to help them with their careers? Juan Pablo, why don't you start with that?
Yeah. Well, IE basically is based on entrepreneurial spirit. All right. So this is the first of foremost thing that we try to embed students, either through the academic classes or from Talent and Careers any way we want. So that's like the number one skill. The second one on which IE is based on is leadership. We want our students to develop these leadership skills. And this is something that we always embed within the academic courses, first period, second period, and they have the possibility to not only listen to the theory, but put that in practice, okay? More even if they're part-times, well, they can take whatever learnings they have from their classes and use it in the immediate working environment. Just to give a few examples, there's workshops that we have on communication, on team building, on change management. We even have skill sets that are required by specific industries, and we give those kind of courses also. So it's basically have entrepreneurship on one side, leadership on the other, and within leadership, all these skill sets that we try to embed within the academic curriculum. So they have the chance to actually put this in practice.
Great. Anna, what skill sets does your program emphasize?
I think for some, it's very similar. So I think Vlerick grew and we cherish entrepreneurship, but also entrepreneurship. So taking the initiative, right? I think really putting learning into action as fast as possible, which I think from a careers angle, that's also what I do as quickly as possible from a reflection into trying out, exploring, doing. If I look at all this, leadership comes always in, right? That's what we're all working on, because it's not about book learnings. It's about learning things, putting them into action. So we really hope we enable our participants to have an impact in this world. Our slogan is live, learn, leap. So you live those experiences. You learn a lot by giving, by sharing, by contributing, by getting your hands dirty, and then hopefully you leap, you jump, you dare to implement something. And if we achieve that, I think we did a wonderful job.
Sophie, you getting your students' hands dirty?
I think, yeah, I have a feeling we're all quite similar in a way here. ESMT's focus and strengths are really also in leadership, innovation, and analytics, and this is embedded in all academic courses and modules, and also in the way we set up groups and study groups. And what I think is also really, really important, especially these days, is that that students, that anyone, but this is what we try teach our students, are flexible, can react really to sudden changes, and drive business in this changing world. Our student body is super diverse and global, and this is one of our focus points as well. So we really try to prepare them for a more and more globally connected world, but that also means you have to work with globally connected teams, and this is something that we're strongly focusing on.
Now, your online MBA program is relatively new, Sophie, and so is yours, Anna. So remind me, do you have a graduating class yet, or is it still too early?
For us, it's
too early. Sorry.
It's early. We do. We're here since 5 years, so we do have graduating classes. But because
ESMT Berlin, do you?
So we started in 2021.
That's right. And so you still you haven't graduated anyone yet.
Yes. So the program is really flexible. You can study 24 months up to 5 years.
Great.
So yes, we are really the new kid on the block.
The new kid on the block. Anna, what do employers most appreciate about your grads, do you think?
So when I talk to employers, I think they want this combination. They want this combination of, I would say, top-notch hard skills and overview that you get from learning in a leading business school, and those leadership and soft skills. It's the two things they need to come together, and this is why I think our students do really well.
Juan Pablo, what do you think employers most like about the IE graduates out of your program?
Well, I believe it's reflects what IE is. In essence, people that come to IE are after that entrepreneurial spirit. IE in itself, very entrepreneurial. Everything that they will see is entrepreneurial, and many of them actually want to build companies afterwards, or even during the program itself. There's also a high international body, right? Lots of students from various countries are here at IE, not only the part-time programs, but full-time programs as well. So employers really value this diversity, this international mindset, global mindset that they have. Basically that go-to approach. You know, they're very proactive, very enthusiastic on the way that they approach their tasks at any given time. So I believe they're a quite unique profile, which is very similar to what we as IE represent. Yes.
Great. Juan Pablo, I wonder if, in fact, you can talk a little bit about that alumni network. A lot of people who go into online MBA programs may feel that because they're not present all the time with their classmates, maybe the connection isn't as deep with the alumni network as it would be if they were in an on-campus program. What do you say about that? And talk in more general terms about the value of an alumni network when you're part of the IE family.
Yes. I'd say since the pandemic, things have probably been viewed differently, right? Whereas alumni, when they graduate, they kind of disconnect from their home school, and they have to fly back from wherever they come back, where they live. So they probably feel a distance. But one of the things that we've actually experienced with the pandemic is we can perfectly have a connection through Zoom or through any other means that are available, and we actually perceive value out of that. So that's one thing that we kind of like got out of the way. There are many vehicles here at IE that actually help us promote this alumni community. Once a person graduates, they will be able to use the platforms that we have. We have an internal platform here at IE called IE Connects, which is basically a platform that has everything that's created by IE for IE. And you're going to find there a diversity of events, activities that they can join, no matter where they are in the globe. And this is readily accessible from day one. They don't have to be alumni to join. Also, there's various clubs. We have clubs that are career focused. Of course, we have sector focused, or we even have chess clubs, running clubs. So depending on what their interests are, they will always find somebody to be able to relate to, be it within the region or online, to actually foster that connection. And last but not least, what I mentioned earlier, we have the regional advisors, which are locally based in different regions. As I mentioned, they have these two missions. One is closing the link between employers and students, but overall, what we want to do is foster those communities locally, so that when they go back home, they have a point of contact in their region that can facilitate them with events, face-to-face, depending on the city where they belong to, or it could be something as simple as a WhatsApp group where they can join the San Diego WhatsApp group and just hear what's going on. So with these three elements, we foster the community and always try to bring them as close as home to possible.
Great. Sophie, talk a little bit about your alumni network. Even though you haven't yet graduated an online MBA class, they do graduate into a broader network of other graduates, right?
Of course, yeah. I could speak about our alumni for hours and hours, because they're really, really wonderful. And I think it doesn't really, it's not, I wouldn't see it at all as a downside to study online, because so much is happening online these days anyways, right?
Yes, true.
And while it is true that many ESMT graduates from other programs end up in Berlin, a lot happens online. A lot of our networking events happen online. We do also have alumni chapters around the globe as well. But really, our alumni, we are still a relatively small school, right? So it really feels like family. It's a really close-knit community that you graduate into. And by the way, you also have access to the alumni community while you are a student. And ESMT has, on all levels, a very personal and individual approach, and that applies to alumni as well. You, as a global online MBA student, you do have the opportunity to actually meet, when you live outside Germany and can't travel here every week. We do have a Berlin Experience Week where each global online MBA can join. And so that is one opportunity where you can actually physically meet other alumni that are based in Berlin. But like I mentioned earlier, so on Friday, we're really excited to have a big networking event coming up where we invite all our MBA programs, current students and alumni from the executive MBA, part-time MBA, global online MBA, and full-time MBA. And that is just a wonderful opportunity to explore and be in touch and build new relationships.
Yeah, that's great. Anna, can you tell us a little bit about your alumni network?
Yeah, I can see you love your event coming up on Friday, Sophie. We will have ours face-to-face in spring, right? Because I think sometimes you just need to have this open invitation to everyone to meet and mingle face-to-face, but we also do that virtually via our alumni community as a small school based in Benelux, but still really global. I think it's it's nice to be able to reach out and meet people via our global chapters in different places, online, obviously, online, content related. If you're interested in digital transformation, I think there are a lot of opportunities within our school to join different discussions and events, hybrid, online, and face-to-face. Yeah, but I would also still give it back and say, like, they're in the driver's seat, right? So we had a really great company visit day for MBAs in the Netherlands with network drinks in the evening, and some people came physically to join. We have an initiative from the local ones closer to physically to the school who go prepare marathons together. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. And I have online MBAs who travel for their job, for example, and use that opportunity to say, I'm going to be in, I don't know, Vancouver for a week. Who else is there? Let's meet up for coffee. And I think that's a wonderful situation to be in.
Yeah, that's really true, because the global nature of these programs allows a road warrior who has to travel to probably have an alum, a buddy, a classmate almost everywhere
right?
in the world.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of especially an online MBA.
Yeah,
with the
totally.
flexibility attached to it. Yeah.
Let's I think that there are many misperceptions about different programs. And I wonder if you were to identify one misperception that you hear students or applicants have about an online MBA, what would it be? Anna, why don't you go first? What's a misperception that you would like to clear up that either an applicant or a student may have about an online MBA?
I think a cliche is that it's less interactive, that you will meet less people, and that it's going to be a lonely and potentially even easier option. And I think it's as much hard work, is as interactive, and it can be as rich and inspiring if you put that energy into it.
Right. As you say, you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, you are. I really believe in that.
Yes. Juan Pablo, do you want to clear up a misperception about online MBA programs?
Yeah, well, I'm glad to offer two, actually. One is basically that a student that's studying from afar, not necessarily based in Madrid, is going to get less service than a student that's doing full time. This is not the case. I mean, the only thing that varies is the format, but they're going to have the personalized approach, and they're always going to have the amount of resources that they would need to get along. So that's one misperception that constantly I believe that students would have. The second one would be from the job front, that it would be more difficult for a student to get a new job from afar than being locally based in Madrid. Of course, there is a component which is we have to account for, which is the face-to-face when employers come on campus, and necessarily students will miss out on some of those, okay? But since we've also moved into online mode, we have recruitment online as well. Well, it's a misperception because the opportunities are the same or even more in the online realm than face-to-face. So those would be the two that I think could be on students' minds.
Right. And more companies actually are doing recruiting online today. And doing the initial interview at least on Zoom, which was something that didn't happen before. Sophie, do you have a misperception you would love to clear up?
I would agree, or I would build on what Anna said. I think a common misperception is that it's quite lonely, but which is really not the case. I'm not sure which platforms the other business schools here use, but from our experience, I can say that you really feel, I mean, you may be sitting at home or you're in your office, but you feel like you're sitting in a classroom. You have your desk, you have your classmates, you have your study group, you have the professor coming in, but you can still, when the professor is out, you can they won't be able to hear you, so you can exchange notes and whatnot. So I think that is a very common misperception, and it's yeah, although it's highly engaging and interactive.
Great.
And you are part of a community.
Right. So, Sophie, how do you see the online MBA evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? I know that in the United States, there are more online MBA students today than there are traditional full-time MBA students, which never occurred before, but this is just a new phenomenon in the US. That's less true outside the US, where still the majority of students go to full-time residential programs. But how do you see this degree evolving over the next 5, even 10 years?
I definitely see it growing. I see a growing demand. I see how ESMT Berlin is attracting candidates from all over the globe. And I see this will continue. I don't have the exact numbers, but I definitely see that continuing because of the change, partially, because of the times that we live in economically, politically, but also looking at the business, looking at the market and requirements that that employers have and that the business has.
Right. Juan Pablo, what do you see evolving in the next 5, 10 years with your online MBA?
I believe also that's going to be growing. Right now, there's been a shift, I believe, whereas before, traditionally, schools would be pushing disciplines. You're going to study marketing, you're going to be studying this. And soon to realize that probably that's not the best way to go. Right now, what we have to do, and it ties into what I said at the very beginning, we have to understand the individual, what needs they are, what career goals they have, and give it a different tailored approach. See them evolve and help them with the tools that we can provide to them along the way. There are lots of competitors that are coming into the educational space. And well, that's why we have to be on our toes and be innovative on a daily basis to be able to address those specific needs. So by all means, I think this is just the beginning. I mean, again, part-time programs online has been existing always. Because of the pandemic, so many more opportunities have been opening right now, and employers are even starting to realize this, and I think it's pretty much lots to do there. So we're gonna continue to grow. Yes.
Anna, what's your view as to how the online MBA will evolve over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's actually wonderful that we have not an online by pandemic obligation, but an online by choice. That was designed for it and is working really well. But when I look into the future, I think people want choices. And a lot of lives need choices because a new cool project comes up, or you go abroad, or you need to make time for your family, but you still want to build and grow the knowledge network and the leadership skills, right? So you still want to do that MBA. So I think these online MBAs will not disappear. I think we'll get more. We might get more options and choices to have a hybrid setting where people might say, partially I do online, partially I want to have this face-to-face option. Like we have some opt-in possibilities to join other modules, an international trip, for example. So I see this is growing. Not everyone can afford to be at the same place for the fixed times that are set in for part-time or face-to-face MBA. And this is a great opportunity.
Yep. Well, listen, it's been a real pleasure to spend this time with all of you. Thank you for participating. I think we learned a lot about the career opportunities that evolve from these online MBA programs. So Sophie, Anna, and Juan Pablo, thank you. It's been a real pleasure.